Oh, thanks, Christine. Yeah, it's a die cut card today, another one. I know I'm not recognising myself with all the die cutting I'm doing, but I wanted to have a play with the nested triangle dies. They've been sitting in my trolley for a little while and I just haven't had a chance to get round to use them, so I thought I'd have a play with them today. So I created like this, it could be any number of things really. I suppose it's a star shaped or it's a flower shaped. It's entirely up to you, and I thought it was a really nice one that can be really versatile and really adaptable to all sorts of different occasions really. I mean, immediately I'm looking at this and I'm thinking if you're using greens and reds, it'll be ideal for the event later on in the year that we don't talk about just yet. So yeah, it would be ideal as like a poinsettia, as a Christmas type card. You can use blues and whites and it will be reminiscent of a snowflake. Also, it will be one to really change up the colours, and it will be great for a guy's card as well. Great for those cards that you don't necessarily want to theme, but you have like a colour scheme in your head. The thought I had in my own head when I used this was to obviously use quite a neutral palette, and I wanted to really sort of graduate the colours, which is why I've used the craft card in the background and used like a pearlescent card and then a paler card also. Thinking and looking at it now, I could have actually gone to town a little bit more and cut more triangles out and actually slot them in the in between these areas here as well. So it's one that you can really build up and spend so much time on, or not, and leave it as a star like so. Just while I remember also, it does actually fit into the Lisa Horton Bingo Challenge. What I did want to do also is just bring some texture into some of the triangles here. So I've actually used Lisa's embossing folders and actually embossed these myself, which is another great use of the embossing folder that Lisa has. Again, you can emboss every single triangle if you wanted for each different layers. I thought it was just really nice just to emboss this one layer. It makes it really stand out, particularly against the plain black background. But if you'll see, against the Bingo Challenge here, I've actually used embossing. So we have the layers there. We've got the die cut, which is basically the whole card, and I've written, it's actually a birthday card also. So we've got the birthday across, which is die cut from Lisa's the squiggled script sentiments, which I'll just bring out here. So if you was lucky enough to get these, then this is what I've used to create the sentiment across the middle, and I've just taken a single word from the worded sheets, just a single happy, and just put that in into the background there. Those of you who watch regularly know that I do like to mix and match the sentiments and the fonts with everything that Lisa has. So I thought that was a really nice adaptable card, which would be a great one for you all to have a go at and put your own spin on that. So as I say, I've used the nesting triangles. I've used just two. I've used not the smallest one, but I've used the next two sizes up there. I've used the squiggled script sentiments. I've used the birthday, but in the card that I'll be making today, I'm just using the happy, so I'll just switch that round a little bit. I'll just put that back on there. And also I've used the nested torn edge circles as well, which is one of the newer sets, one of the new of the in the nested collection. I do believe these will be coming back to the show over the next week as well, when Lisa is on over the next few days. I think these will be not taking centre stage obviously, because she's bringing some amazing new things to us, but they will be available on the show if you missed out on these last time. So just for this centre rosette there, as you can see, I've used 2 of the circle dies. I'll just show you. Just use these 2. I now created them. Use these to create the frame also. So I'll just put those to one side, and we'll get going. So I don't know who saw the Facebook being advertised in the group within the week, and I did say that I would actually be doing making this card but in a completely different colourway, and I did ask for some suggestions. I think I say thank you very much for those suggestions, but I think I've possibly merged most of the suggestions together, and I've gone with a lovely blue theme. So it's a bluey, turquoisey, sort of peacocky feather. If you know your distress inks, it's that sort of colour that I've gone for. I thought initially when I first started making this it would actually take me quite a long time to do all the die cutting, but it doesn't actually take that long at all. So if you think about the different layers we have here, we have only 6 triangles, so it's not that many at all. I'm using, as I always do, a square card, blank. So this again is my usual size, which is just under 6-inch square, so it's 15 centimetres square. So now I've already got my matte and layer on there already. The next thing I want to do is choose the set of colours that I'll be actually creating the petals with. So I've gone, say, with this turquoisey theme. So I've cut myself, for each different layer you need 6 triangles. So I'm using this darker turquoisey colour. Can you see those on that? Yeah, I'll just move those up. And then what I thought I'd do, I'd actually bring in some of Lisa's design papers as well. Some of these actually match perfectly. So I'm using some of the design papers. These are from the barley set, which I think there may be still some available online. So it's the barley design pad, but if you have others, or even just plain cardstock, then that would suit really well also. But I've used the same size triangle die to cut the turquoise and the design paper ones also. So we have the 2 layers there, and then I cut myself a set of smaller triangles, so that's the next size down. If you see, if I put these together, they actually nest, so you can see that it's the next size down. It's a really nice size to work with the petals as well, and I've got like an off-white to creamy sort of colour really. It actually matches my jumper, looking at it. So that is what you need to die cut. So you need 6 triangles per layer, 3 different colours, so you really need sort of like 18 minimum. Oh, hi Natalia. You've seen Natalia join us online also. I'm getting a little bit more used to looking up at the comments while I'm still working. It's I get so engrossed in what I'm doing here I forget to look on the screen. Oh, thanks Dawn, you've managed to get the barley papers on the link there also. So we have 18 triangles. As I say, you can add more, and you'll see as we start building this up where you'd be able to add more triangles and sort of fill out the design that little bit more. So let me just move these to one side. Now I did say that one of the layers also, and you'll see here that on the pearlescent layer I've actually added some texture by embossing the triangles. I'll just show you how I done that. I've used a different embossing folder today also, because, well, why not? You need to give everything a little go. If I just it doesn't, bear with me a second. Okay, if I just bring this embossing folder in, and if you just look at the card that I've made previously, you'll see that I've used the layered petals to actually emboss these triangles here, and say I did like the extra texture that brought. Today I'll be using the Pretty Leaves embossing folder, and I'll be embossing the outer layer. Now the easiest way I found to do this was to actually die cut your triangles first and then put them through the embossing folder, purely because if you were to run a piece of cardstock through your embossing folder and then die cut them, you would actually sort of squash the die cutting a little bit. Now I have shown in previous lives, and I think others have also, possibly Dawn, that if you emboss first and then die cut, you do still keep the amazing pattern, but you just have less of the 3D effect. So it really doesn't matter too much, it's just like personal preference. But if you were to just emboss the triangles on their own, all I've done is just put get the embossing folder the right way round, so you have the indented part of the design on the higher flap here. And all I've done was I suppose I just picked out where and parts of the design that I wanted it to show on the triangles, to be honest. So it does actually enable you to sort of be a bit more fussy, and see, that one will go there. So you can actually sort of fussy cut and fussy pick your embossing pattern. So that's all you do. It's just as easy as that. Just to run these smaller pieces through the embossing folder like so, and they come out perfect. So that was the only, that's so easy to do. Now to start arranging this, it does take perhaps just a little bit of thought, but once you've done it once, it's actually quite straightforward. Now I'll bring in the card now, and I'm just looking at my screen to see what you can see. If I hold that up to the camera a little bit more, you will see that I've already just really faintly drawn on across on the cardstock there. So I've basically divided each of these sides in half and drawn across. That is what will enable us to position the rosette or the flowers sort of more central, and it helps you get that hexagon shape. So the easiest way to start is with your outer layers, and I'm using the turquoise first, and I'm actually lining up the tip of the triangle with the line that I've drawn on the card blank there. So I'm doing the same both sides. You can start either way. You could always do it this way if you wanted. I actually prefer the effect this way round, but as I say, that's personal preference also. So you just line up the tip with the halfway point down the side of the card, and just make sure that the flat, or the base of the triangle, is sort of running straight. At this stage we are just arranging, so everything is all movable, we're not gluing down just yet. Then the next thing we do, we just match up the next triangle from point to point, as you can see here, and make sure this point is running onto that centre line of the card there, and then the same on the other side. And you can see now how straightforward it is to actually start piecing these triangles together. We take a triangle and we do exactly the same on the lower half, so we make sure that these 2 points match, and make sure that this point again matches on that central line here. And then we can add this next one in place. There we can start seeing how our hexagon is, or the hexagon which is forming in the centre, is coming together and creating our star shape. Now we could just rearrange all that slightly just to make sure that we have a nice regular shape, so they're nice and evenly spaced. Okay, now so at this point, this is when I actually start gluing the triangles down. Now before I start gluing down, all I'm going to do is just create a bit more dimension, just a bit more interest, so that these aren't laying flat onto the paper. I'm just going to slightly shape them with my fingers, so when I lay them down, they'll actually be pointing upwards like that. Hopefully you can see that. And to glue these down, I'm only going to glue the bottom edge. So that means that the rest of the triangle is still quite free and you have that movement. Now, if you wanted to do this a different way, obviously you can glue the triangles down completely. You can glue them, or you can attach them to the card with 3D foam. That would work also. Again, I think once you've done the first card, if you do give it a go, and you've got a feeling for how easy it is to put together, then you'll have the confidence to start having a play. With the graduating sizes of the triangles coming in on this first card originally, that was sort of my thinking. So I was coming down in size in the triangles and also wanted to graduate the colour. So I suppose what encouraged me, or my thinking behind that first card, was like an ombre effect. When I was putting this card together with the colours, it very much reminded me of my patchwork days, of when I've made cushions and quilts, the way that this come together. I think purely because of the colours. And this is what makes Lisa's nesting dies so versatile, not only with the triangles but with also the circles also. It gives you so much scope to play. And you can see there, just as I'm chatting, I'm just adding one single layer of glue to the base of the triangles and just gluing those down, making sure all those points come together. There we are. And you can see that we've still got a bit of movement, so we can just lightly bend up those triangles so they're just standing a little bit more proud of the card. And now they're in place, I can actually move that for you, and you can see that this is actually becoming sort of quite 3D, and they are standing up from the card there. Now, it's at this stage it'll be worth you taking a rubber and just gently removing those drawn pencil lines. It's actually only 2 that you need to remove because you've got ones hidden under here, and depending on the colour of the base card that you've put as to whether you'll see them or not. But if we could just remove those. There we are. Because we now have the base of the card to actually work with. So next I'm going to bring in is my coloured design paper triangles. So I'm just going to initially just place them on, and then I can rearrange and make sure they are where I want them to be. Now you'll see when I'm arranging these now, I'm actually offsetting these triangles, so they will be sitting halfway between the 2 triangles I've already added. When you start lining these triangles up, they will actually start overlapping on the inside also. Don't worry about that, because as you can see from that first card, we will actually be covering up the inner workings of the card. It's up to you whether you line up these triangles so all the points line up together, or if you just want to bring them in just slightly so you've got a dip, so you've got the idea of perhaps a smaller triangle on the a smaller flower on the other side. Now I'm just going to turn these over. It looks similar on both sides, that one. I found this easier when I was doing the first card to place 2 opposite triangles together at the same time. I just found that a lot easier to line up. So to do that, I'm just going to add the glue to all of the triangles first. And that way I can place 2 triangles together. I just found this a lot easier way to get the symmetry. So I'm going to add these two first and just move that in slightly so that sits in beyond the boundary of the card, like so. Okay, and make sure that that's the same top and bottom. Sorry if my hands are getting in the way just at the moment, but hopefully you can see what it is that I'm doing. Okay, and if you're just working with opposite triangles like so, the next two will be here. Make sure that you have just by eye that the point of these triangles is sitting halfway between the two of the darker triangles on the outer side, and then I can place these two, and you can see that we have that nice hexagon forming on the inside again, and we have the point of where these triangles meet. Although the actual points of the triangles are overlapping, the actual point that they create in there should be on that central crosshair line that you've drawn on the inside. So if you use that as a gauge, that will keep you along the right path to keep this looking symmetrical, I would say. And we've got a nice hexagonal shape forming in the middle there. Okay, so this is coming together. It's looking so much different already to the original card. So now we have our smaller layer with our lighter triangles, and these are going to be, let me think, I'm actually going to line these up with the outer layer triangles. So each time it looks like the star that we're forming has been twisted, which is the way that you would work in patchworking also. But again, it's entirely up to you. If you have more triangles, or you want to add more layers, or if you're doing it on a bigger card, even if you're working on perhaps an 8x8 card, it would enable you to go bigger, and that would look lovely. So we can see there, that's where we want our smaller layer to be. At this stage, I'm just going to bring in the die cut torn edge circle, if I can pick it up, and I'm just going to check that when I put that on there, that the base of all the triangles will be sort of behind the circle there, so it looks seamless, and that looks okay to me. So I will pretty much keep those where they are, and now I can start gluing these in place. Again, just one single line of glue along the base of the triangle. It just means that we can go back afterwards and just slightly tip up all the points of the circle just to prevent it laying quite so flat. It's actually also a good cheat if you don't have any 3D foam pads. I know it's something that I can run out of, and even when I think I've got more in stock, or I've got more hidden somewhere, and I don't actually, and I usually running low, and I have to be a little bit more frugal as to how I use them. So this is just a great way to add that 3D element to the card without having to use your 3D pads. So you can see now that it was so easy to place these smaller triangles because you've got the outer ones as a guide. So we are now ready to add the centre point there. Now before I add that circle in the centre there, if you wanted, you could actually keep on adding triangles and go an awful lot smaller, so you have a smaller centre circle. That's entirely up to you. But I'm adding this size circle, and I'm also going to add a frame. But before I do that, I just want to add these two together, and to do that I'll just show you what I've done. Because I'm going to be using 3D foam to actually put these in the centre, I won't actually be able to glue the frame directly onto the card. So if you bear with me, I'm just trying to match the, there we are, trying to match the frame to the circle there, and I've just turned that over. These things take so long when you're on when you're on a live. You can't see it come together. There we are. Okay, so all I'm going to do on the reverse, to make sure that these two frames, these two pieces stay together, I'm just going to add a tiny bit of tape. I'm using just a tiny bit of washi tape. You can use whatever you have to hand. I'm just going to add that on either side, and then again on these two sides. Just make sure you catch the frame and the inner circle there, so it looks like you have one seamless piece, and we've got that to sit in the centre there. Now I will add this with some 3D foam, I think. Let's get some scissors. It would be nice just for this to stand a little bit prouder of the card. Now my 3D foam has been sitting in my drawer a little while, so I just need to add some glue. So I know that that will stick. We can set that into the centre like so. You can see what I mean about this looking like more of a patchwork card than the first one. I think it's just that the colours, the way that that's come together. Now to add the sentiment in the circle, I have die cut the squiggle, was it the squiggle script? Easier said, well not so easy said, and I've die cut that in the coordinating colours, and I shall just add that into the centre there. Lisa's got a whole selection of sentiments that would be great to put in the centre here. I wanted to use this one because it was actually quite slimline, and I didn't want to hide too much of the design here, to be honest with you, but again it's entirely up to you. Make sure I put that the right way around. So this time I've actually die cut the happy, and that fits perfectly in that central area there, so I'm really happy with that. I really like the way that that looks. Now as always, I always like to mix up my sentiments, and I've actually stamped birthday from a set that isn't in stock unfortunately at the moment, but I thought it was just I thought it just fitted perfectly. So if you're lucky and you were able to get the ticker tape stamps in previous shows, that's what I've used here. And I've actually, looking at the way that that's dried, I've stamped that with peacock feathers, which was a perfect match for the colour here, and that's dried with a slight bow. So all I've done is just added a dab of glue behind each end there, and I'll just set that on there with a slight arc in the birthday. I think that looks really nice. So that's basically the card finished. So that comes together once all the die cutting is done, and the card actually comes together really quick. And I think the trickiest part of making these cards is choosing your colour system, choosing your colourways. As I say, there's endless combinations of colours that you can choose. It's a great card to use up little scraps also, because you're only cutting the little triangles, so you could really go wild with an absolutely multicoloured design, and it would be a great way to use up all those little scraps also. It's a great way to enter into our bingo challenge, because you have until, I think it's just over a week, or I think 1st of April is next Thursday. Yes, you have just over a week still left to enter that if you want to have a chance of winning a set of Lisa's new releases. So that will be really worth worth entering, I think. So there, I was saying, oh, Jean's with us. Jean's saying it would make a great man's card. It would make a great man's card. It really would. If you choose the right colour system, it'd look lovely in navy and white, which I think was one of Dawn's suggestions when I asked what colours we should do. Oh, hi Anne. I didn't see you join us there. Lovely to have you here this afternoon. Oh, thanks Natasha. Thank you Jill. Who else is with us? Oh, Heidi's with us as well. Heidi doesn't always get a chance to join us, so it's lovely to have her here this afternoon. Just looking back here, Dawn's put on all the links of everything that I've used this afternoon. I've used embossing folders from the last release, but if you have been up to date with everything that is going on, you would have seen last night on Lisa's Facebook Live that we have brand new embossing folders coming to us this week, and we're so excited. They are literally hot off the press and new into stock with Lisa, that not even the design team have had a chance to play with them yet, so we are all really excited to get those. If you're unaware, then Lisa's got a massively busy week this week, and I've just printed out this little crib sheet which Elizabeth from our design team put together for us, which is actually really handy because my memory is atrocious and I would forget what was going on. So if you're around tomorrow, Lisa is on a Facebook Live between 4 and 6 where it's there'll be lots of chat. I think there's more chatting than crafting done last time, but it was really good fun. It was really good 2 hours to sit and listen and just get to know Lisa a little bit better. Then there is the launch shows for the brand new products for the USA tomorrow evening. Then for us here in the UK or over in Europe, Thursday at 6 PM is the early bird show, ready for really busy days on Friday, where Lisa has loads and loads of demos for us, so really looking forward to that. Thanks so much for joining me this afternoon. Remember that we also have other design team Facebook Lives. We have Natasha tomorrow at 7 o'clock and Dawn on Friday at 1 o'clock. So it'd be lovely if you can tune into those also. Oh, hi Mary, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Not to worry, so you can always catch up online with us. I shall get these sorted out and added to our YouTube channel also, where there's so many other videos there for you to watch. So I shall leave you there this afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a lovely week and enjoy Lisa's shows. Thank you.